What's up, horror fam?
You know what time it is.
Today we're giving you our top 10 of the 80s.
Let's get into this. All right.
Yes, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Horror Chronicles podcast.
The best fucking podcast.
Yeah.
So that was Ryan's line. Sorry, man.
Yeah, you asshole. You stole my words, man.
So, you know what we've been doing for the past, let's count them out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks. We've been talking about 80s horror.
Yes. Yes.
The greatest fucking decade of horror.
Yes, I will agree.
Sorry if I'm cussing a lot, but I fucking love the 80s. So, tonight, what we're doing, like we promised you guys, Ryan and I sat down separately, and we both came up with our top 10 list of the 80s.
Dude.
Now, I gotta say that this is not, these are the best films of the 80s.
These are our top 10.
Yes, absolutely.
Everything's personal with movies, you know.
These are our favorites.
These are our top 10, which I'm going to get in. I got a question for you. We'll never hear in a second. But, you know, this was hard to do.
It was.
So much came out of the 80s that this was very, very hard to do.
Including Ryan.
Yes, the greatest thing ever came out of the 80s. Yeah, exactly.
Michael's first.
Yeah, you want to hear what Michael... That's the funniest shit ever, dude. I don't give a shit. I laughed so hard at that forever. If you don't know what we're talking about, go to our...
I'm going to see if I can put that video in here.
Oh, dude. If you don't know what we're talking about, go to our Facebook page and check out my post.
It's fucking
You get to hear Michael Myers talk for the first time.
Yeah.
But anyways, so we did our top 10 of the 80s. And, man, I tell you, I got to 15, and I'm like, fuck. How am I going to do this, you know? So my question to you is, what were your requirements for yours? How did you go?
Well,
how did you do yours?
So basically, I looked at the whole decade as a whole, and I said to myself, what were the movies that influenced you the most? What did you thrive on, I guess?
Yeah.
I mean, what were the movies that, thinking back to that decade, that you couldn't see yourself living without?
Yes, I'm with you.
And that's kind of how I came up with my list. Now, it's funny. I told you earlier there was a funny thing happened while I was doing my top 10 list. I went at this objectively, and I thought, I'm going to do a top 10 list. I'm going to pick my favorite movie from every year. Yeah, that didn't work out too good for me. Because there are several years that there are numerous movies in that year that were some of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
And once I get into my list, you're going to catch a lot of that.
Yeah.
You know,
and I'm with you on that. How I did mine, and also what helped me out was I'm like, same thing. What did I watch as a kid? And I thought in my head, what do I watch right now that still brings me back? So the nostalgia thing played a huge factor into it. And, with mine, I also did just this, what am I looking for here? The ability to hold up today.
Oh, I didn't care if they held up today.
Well,
they're just, are they, is that truly one of my favorite films?
had to do that the last 15.
Yeah.
Because, man, the last 15 were hard for me it was hard for me to get rid of 5 movies. Doing
this, guys, is extremely difficult because when you first start out, you're like, okay, I'm just going to write down all the movies that I want, and then next thing you know, you're staring at a list that's got 97 movies on it.
Yeah, fuck.
And you're like, how the hell am I going to eliminate this down to 10? So you just slowly start weeding them out, Well, I love this movie, but I love this one more, and this movie was fantastic, but this movie really holds a place in my heart.
And that's where the nostalgia and the ability to still be good to this day really helped me with the last 15 because like it was hard for me to get rid of those 5 movies at the end. You know,
I mean, folks, try this yourself. It doesn't even have to be the 80s. Just say, okay, I'm going to pick out my 10 favorite movies of all time. We did it easy on ourselves. We only had a 10-year period. That
exactly, all time.
Movies.
I don't even know.
It was still
very hard.
It was still very difficult.
So before we pop it off, I want to mention a movie real quick.
Before we pop it off?
Before we pop it out. And, you know, but no, I want to mention a movie that I thought about it really hard, and we talked about it before, of course, in our episode. And you were surprised I didn't talk about it in the episode because it's one of my favorite movies of all time. And you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
So I want to mention this movie. It's not on my list because I don't really consider it.
Oh my God, I can't believe that's not on your list because
Well,
I'm pretty sure I know what you're talking about.
Yes, well, hear me out. And the reason why it's not on my list is because I really don't consider it horror. It's something different to me.
Okay.
Now, that movie's called They Live. Okay? I know, guys. They Live is one of my top 5 movies of all time. It's just an amazing film. To me, it's more of a documentary, like I talked about.
Yeah.
So that's why I didn't put it on my list. Just I know people are going to be surprised, but it's just something different to me than horror. Now, it's still considered horror in the horror world, which is awesome. By all means, whatever gets you to watch it, watch it. So I wanted to mention that movie because to me, that's one of the greatest movies. So,
and I'll go with you on that. That is a fantastic movie, and that movie so encompasses the decade of the 80s. It is crazy.
Yeah.
How you can watch that film and it just, oh yeah, that's the 80s right there.
Yeah,
you know?
man.
So I'm gonna tell you, it didn't make my list either.
Yeah, so that movie is very important to me. I had to mention it because I just felt like I'd be disrespecting it if I didn't mention it. But
now, my list has got some shit on it. And I can almost guarantee you we may only have a couple movies that are the same.
Yeah, I was thinking about that earlier too because I'm like,
because we are different. I mean, even though we have a love of horror and we love the same films, we do have a different...
Yeah, different era. You were, you grew up watching
I grew up
thing
before the 80s. You grew up after, you know.
So
at the end, well, actually, he still hasn't grown up, but
I was born then. You guys are blessed then, and you're welcome. That's all I got to say is you're welcome.
Yeah.
But anyway, so let's pop this off, and we'll let you start off with your number 10.
Okay, so my number 10 is really going to blow your mind because
blow your mind.
It's going to blow your mind. It's going to blow your mind that it's not higher on my list.
Okay.
Is what I'm getting.
I got a feeling my top 10 is going to be the same way for you.
Okay, so favorite films of the 80s. My number 10 film is 1985's Return of the Living Dead. This movie is so chock full of zombie goodness and just the cast in this film. I mean, so this movie was directed by Dan O'Bannon. We have talked about this movie numerous times. It's very odd that this movie is not higher on my list.
Yes, I'm surprised.
But it's not for a reason, and you guys will catch that as the show goes on. This movie stars the fantastic James Karen, God rest his soul, because I passed away not too long ago. Tom Matthews is Freddy, and Freddie and Frank in this film are perfect. I mean, they are like fucking Abbott and Costello, fucking Laurel and Hardy. You got fucking Freddie and Frank.
Freddie and Frank.
Just fantastic. And you couldn't talk about this movie without mentioning the fantastic and lovely LUNATIC Quigley.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew it.
That is one of the big reasons why this movie made my list, was because of Linnea Quigley.
There you go.
If you don't know who Linnea Quigley is one of the best screen queens from the 80s into the 90s, mostly the 80s though. And she has a fantastic rack.
Don't I have a nice rack?
She does things with a tube of lipstick that would blow your mind.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, Return of the Living Dead, I mean, you just can't go wrong with that film.
Yeah, you know, that's a great film. I can't believe it's not higher on your list. But then again, there's a fucking ton of movies, so
It is.
it's hard to...
Did this movie make your list?
Did not. Well,
Did not.
Hey, this one did not make my list. We'll talk about that later.
I know what's coming then. I know what's coming.
So,
you know, we could talk about Return of the Living Dead all night. We all know the story. You know, just so many iconic scenes, and one of the best is Linnea Quigley as trash, dancing naked on top of it.
well, you know what, man? In that movie, it's the soundtrack, the film, the way they filmed, the cinematography, everything in that movie is just awesome. I'm a huge zombie fan, and
send more cops.
Yeah, you know, it's just so
everything. I mean, this movie is really, honestly, could you consider this movie a horror comedy?
Yeah, for sure, sure.
Nah, I don't know, because see, most horror comedies are like, you know, haunted house.
Well, you know what, man? I guess,
you know,
to be honest with you,
this is more horror than it is comedy, but it's very funny.
But most horror movies do have fucking a good hint of comedy.
That's true.
Almost all of them.
That's true.
You know,
because they're hitting two of your highest senses.
Yes,
you know?
yes. You know, you're scared, but you're laughing. You know, you're scared, you're laughing.
If you're happy and you're scared, shit your pants.
It's a perfect fucking time to put my. Boom. Right. So yeah, I love that film, man. The reason why that one's not on my list is because you'll find out later on my list.
There's so many others.
You'll find out later on my list.
It was hard for me. I mean, I was looking at a huge list, but I honestly, this movie made my list because of Linnea Quigley.
Gotcha.
Because of those iconic scenes in this film, and another movie that didn't make my list that she was in that may have made yours, so I'm not going to talk about it.
It did.
Linnea Quigley, you made it to number 10. Love you, girl.
So, my number 10, you're going to be surprised. You're going to be surprised. And that is a good little old film that you can hear us talk a lot about on Strange Frequencies.
Oh, shit.
Maximum Overdrive.
Maximum Overdrive.
That's right, guys. We did a whole episode on this movie with Mr. Bill Van Vagel and Nathan Barball on Strange Frequencies under their Phantom Galaxy page. But anyways, guys, Maximum Overdrive.
That shocks me that that's not higher on your list.
I know. I figured it, really
does, because I know you love that film.
It's one of my... Yeah, I mean... And
I love that film for the soundtrack.
Yeah. You know? I love the soundtrack. This film, and
Stephen King at the ATM.
Yes, it's a classic. Emilio Estevez is one of my favorite actors.
Emilio!
The mighty Duckman himself. He's one of my favorite actors. And this movie... this is where the nostalgia thing kicks in. You know, it's one of those films that it's like if you want to watch a horror movie and you don't know what to watch, you're like, dude, Maximum Overdrive, cannot go wrong with that. You know, and you
can watch it with your kids if you wanted to.
Yeah, there's no nudity or nothing like that in it. I mean,
there's one small scene in there that's a little provocative, but no nudity, no major gore, you
know.
I don't want to say kid-friendly film, but
you know, man, yeah. Trust me, from what kids are watching on YouTube and shit like that,
yeah, that's true.
They're perfectly fine watching this movie.
It's not like Goosebumps, but you know.
Yeah. So, you know, this film. The reason why it's my number 10, again, I got my movies down to 15, and it was really freaking hard for me to get my lists, out there.
Oh yeah.
So,
believe me, I know.
Yeah. So this made my number 10. Still made my list. I mean, number 10 out of the 80s is like fucking number 1 now. You know, it's. So, again, this movie, Maximum Overdrive, if you guys haven't seen this, where the hell you been? But it's about basically, the Earth comes into orbit, or I guess like actually a comet's tail comes into orbit.
It goes through the path of a comet's tail.
And, electronic stuff comes alive and things start happening. And, it's funny because we talked about this a little bit too when we did our other episode about it with the boys over there. And it's funny that not everything was, taken over.
Yeah.
Some people's cars were cool, some people's weren't, but that's just the love. That's the great thing about the 80s, man. It's just like there's a lot of shit that who cares if it doesn't make fucking sense.
Right.
It doesn't matter. This movie is a type of movie that you watch and just want to fucking vegetate and have a good time.
What was the deal with the green fog? I mean,
yeah, it's like, who gives a shit, man? Just enjoy the fucking film.
Yeah, just have a good time.
Yeah, and that's exactly why this one made it.
And it is a very fun film to watch.
Oh, 100%, dude. 100%, man. Fun. It's, I can't say any more about that besides you'll have a blast watching it. You can watch it with your children, and you will not go wrong. It's one of those movies where you'll never go wrong watching it.
Right.
If it's like, man, what do I got to pick? Oh, this one for sure. We'll watch this one because I know you'll like it.
Yeah, it's one of those movies I have to pull out and watch at least once a year. Mm-hmm. And the other night, somebody asked me if they could borrow it, and I cringed. but I did let them borrow it. So,
oof.
It was that was rough. Hopefully, I get it back.
All right.
Yeah. About taking their firstborn child to get,
I'm gonna need the blood of their firstborn child.
Yeah.
So your number 10 was
Return of the Living Dead.
Return of the Living Dead, guys.
Do you want a party?
Hey, my number 10, Maximum Overdrive. So, moving on up to number 9.
When Ryan talks about how hard this list was to do, I mean, it was extremely difficult because there were movies out there that are freaking cult classics that didn't make my list.
Oh, 100%. There's actually one I'll show you.
And there are movies out there that are freaking phenomenal, and I'm going to throw one out there. The Fly did not make my list.
Mine either.
Fantastic film. Jeff Goldblum, Gina Davis, great film. Absolutely love that movie, but wasn't one of my favorites. Great movie. I love it.
Yep.
But
so
didn't make my list.
Let's talk about what did make your list. Your number 9, sir.
Number 9. Nine
okay. Times.
So my number 9 is kind of along the same lines as my number 10. Kinda. My number 9 is House from 1985.
Ooh, good one.
House from 1985 was directed by Steve Miner, which, remember that name because it's going to be important here in a minute. Starred William Catt, Greatest American Hero, George Wendt, Norm from Cheers. Norm! And Richard Mull, who was Bull from Night Court. I am a sucker for haunted house movies. An absolute...
You are just a sucker.
I am just an absolute sucker. I love haunted house films. I love ghost stories. And this movie had a little bit of everything in it.
Yes,
I mean, guy moves into his aunt's house. It's haunted by spirits of his past.
I'll look this up.
Oh,
yeah. And this movie is just fun.
Extremely fun.
Like you said... it's one of those movies that people forget about.
Yeah, it is. And that's why I threw it on my list. I actually saw this movie in the theater and fell in love with it. It was a regular watch for me all through my teen years. And even now, I mean, it's funny. I've got 2 copies of it in there in case I break one.
And by no means did I say that's a movie that people forget about and that being rude. What I meant by that is, you find those movies that you haven't seen long time. Oh, fuck, this is a great film, dude. Why did I forget about this, man?
Those hidden gems.
You're like, shit, I can't believe I forgot about this movie. And that's one of them,
It is. It's always been for me. There's just so much. There's a lot of cool atmosphere to it. There's a lot of campiness to it. Don't get me wrong. A lot of campiness in this film. But there's so many cool moments, you know, like when he's hiding behind that freaking fort thing and he's got the rope on the closet door, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, George walks in and he's like, hey,
Yeah, dude.
what are you doing? Oh, nothing. You know, he's all got his freaking military helmet on and his goggles. And, yeah, just a really cool movie.
Yeah.
And honestly, the chemistry between them two was pretty good the whole movie, you know, because he was constantly trying to push him away. You know, William Catt,
Yes.
you know, was constantly trying to push him away, and he was the nosy neighbor that kept wanting to know what was going on.
And you always have nosy neighbors who want to know what
Yeah.
the fuck is going on.
Yeah,
You know,
over here it's my dog. My dog is the nosy neighbor.
Well, you know, it's like it's one of those. They're scary. Like if you're a kid, it's scary.
Yeah.
But if you're an adult, you can like the movie too.
Yeah.
So it's one of those movies you watch and you know.
Yeah, it's funny when I watched it as a kid. Yeah, it scared me, but when I got older and watched it as an adult, I'm like, this is actually really cool the way they put this film together.
There you go.
And that was Steve Miner. I mean, Steve Miner, the guy that directed this, did some great stuff. And yeah, we'll get into that here in a minute.
Ooh yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, great choice. That one did not make my list, but it's a good choice though.
Yeah.
See, this is what I'm talking about with this. Is so cool because there's so many. When we first started doing this, me and JT were like, man, I bet we're gonna have like the same fucking list. And then, but then you start going through everything like we did for the last 5 weeks. You know, we're like, fuck. There's so much great shit out there.
Well, and it all depends on, like, you know, like I said, how we grew up. I mean, I grew up a little earlier than you did, you know, so, I mean, things hit me differently than they hit you.
Yes,
you know?
yeah.
And it just, they're all great films. It just, you know.
So, with my number 9, the two movies that are my 9 and 10,
It's the same damn movie.
Nine's gonna surprise you too.
Oh,
that it's
God.
not higher on my list. And just the fact that these two movies are on the bottom of my list, it shows you how hard it is to fucking.
It shows me how good your list is going to be.
You know, so my number 9 on my list is a little movie called Silver Bullet.
What?
Yes. I'm telling you, dude. I know.
You got to have some fucking serious fucking horsepower on that list.
Well, you know, a couple of movies you probably wouldn't think. There's probably a movie on this list. That you're going to be like, oh, I didn't see you having that one, but I think it's an amazing film. But anyway.
Well, as much as I can't believe that, Silver Bullet didn't make my list.
Yeah, but like you said,
But I
it's
love
different.
that movie.
Yes.
It's a great movie.
For me, though, it's a surprise.
It was on my whittled down list of 30, you know.
Yeah.
But then I had to go through and go.
So, you know, for me, though,
I just pulled out darts and threw.
Yeah. Yeah. That's not even that's not even a horror movie.
Shit, we're going to talk about The Wall. I just did.
But, you know, Silver Bullet, I know it's surprise number 9.
Fuck, dude, that just blows my mind.
But this movie, highly fucking influential in my life.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a staple in my household. We watch it like 2 or 3 times a year.
Dude, think about that movie and think about anybody other than Gary Busey being in that film.
God.
Uncle Red.
Oh, man. He fucking
Dude, he
killed
made
that shit.
film.
Yeah, I will agree with you, man. Of course, you got Gary Busey, Corey Haim. What is that? Why am I forgetting?
Edward.
Yes.
Oh my God. Not Edward Cullen.
I'd kick you in your nuts right now.
Yeah. Oh God, I can't remember his last name.
But yeah.
But anyway, yeah.
I mean, just phenomenal.
Star-studded cast.
And just this film is very nostalgic for me. I kind of surprised myself when I put it as my number 9.
He shocked the fuck out of me.
Yeah, well, you know, I just kind of, there's a lot of thought process through all this shit, man, but I was like, it has to be on my list. So that was one of the movies I knew were going to for sure be on my list. It's one of the first horror movies that I watched. Not the first.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, not the first, but one of the first. So, Silver Bullet. If you haven't seen this, it's about a boy who is paralyzed from the waist down, and him and his sister, and their Uncle Red.
Oh, the sister was Megan Follows.
Yes, and they.
I know that because of my wife, who doesn't like horror.
Oh yeah, but
I made her watch that one day, and she's like, "Oh my God, that's Megan Follows from Anne of Green Gables." I'm like, "What? What the hell are you talking about?"
But yeah, you know this movie.
I looked it up. She was right.
If you haven't seen it, it's about this brother sister who they live in a small, you know, little country town where everyone gets together and they do this thing, and it just so happens to be coming up on the, you know,
4th of July.
4th of July.
Yeah, which is, hey,
coming up real soon.
a couple days away for us.
And, you know, some things start happening, like people start getting killed. Kilted. They D-E-D, dead. So,
yes, sir.
People start getting killed in these weird ways, and it just so happens to be a werewolf. So, I don't want to... If you haven't seen this movie, I'm not going to talk about it in depth because I want you to watch it and I want you to experience it. It's narrated, too, which is really cool. I like the way they did the narration on it, you know?
Yeah.
It's not narrated all the way through, but there's parts where it's narrated, which they did an excellent job at bringing in the narration when it needed to be in and when it
it's
didn't
almost
need
like
to be.
watching Stand By Me.
Yes. Great reference. You know, kind of like the same kind of the way it's filmed.
Yeah.
But it's about a werewolf. So you won't go wrong with it. Like I said, Gary Busey fucking kills it in this movie. One of my all-time favorite movies, period. I'm surprised it's so slow on my list. I know.
I am absolutely shocked.
But there's a lot of heavy hitters in there, you know. So, what was your number 9?
My number 9 was House.
House. Mine, number 9, Silver Bullet. Silver Bullet.
Great film.
Fuck yeah.
Great film.
All right.
So,
Number 8.
here you go. Number 8. And this is kind of interesting because there's a couple instances on my list where this will happen. So my number 8 film is going to be Friday the 13th Part 3.
Ooh.
From 1982. Now, if you remember my last film, House, directed by Steve Miner. Friday the 13th Part 3, directed by Steve Miner. Yes, it's the same guy. I looked it up. This stars Dana Kimmel as Chris, Tracy Savage as Debbie, and Richard Broker plays Jason.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you right now why this movie is number 8 on my list, because it's iconic. This film, if you watch this film, you could argue that it's not the greatest in the series or the greatest film. To me, it holds major merit because in this film is the very first time we see Jason don the iconic hockey mask.
Yeah.
And that is the whole reason why I love this film. That, and I put a post on Facebook today about it, those damn enchiladas.
Those damn enchiladas.
Just a very cool film. The way they put this together, you know, it's your typical kids out camping, Jason shows up, fucking wreaks havoc, kills a bunch of people. But there's so many little things that happen in this film, like Jason getting his hockey mask. And he gets it because of a prankster that's in the group with him. They accidentally run into some bikers at a store, like a general store. This prankster accidentally backs over one of their motorcycles. Oh, well, guess what? The bikers follow him back to the
And some shit goes down.
camp. And fucking shit goes down. But what else was cool about this film was this was right in the middle of the big 3D craze during the 80s. So they filmed this movie in 3D, of course. You can get copies of this film where you get both discs. You get a 3D disc, and they supply you with a set of 3D glasses.
Got mine.
Looks fucking horrible.
Got mine.
And then they also have a regular disc. But the regular disc, what's cool about it is if you watch that in a dark room, you still get that 3D effect. If you're watching it on a decent sized TV, you know, you still get those cool 3D effects. Now, you get a lot of weird shit that it's like, oh, they just did that because it was in 3D. But it works. It works, folks.
Yeah.
This movie is great.
It's a fun film.
Everything about it. The kills in this movie, the story, it's just a cool film.
I love this. I love, I'm about to blow your mind. None of the Friday the 13th made it on my list.
I have two.
See? None of them.
But I'm a big Friday the 13th.
And I love them.
Huge.
I love I love the films. Absolutely love them.
I think Jason should be voted for president.
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
He'll definitely be on your Mount Slashmore.
Yes. Definitely.
But
I'd have problems picking the fourth, though.
Yeah. But Friday the 13th, man, especially part 3 is good. Enchiladas.
All those damn enchiladas.
Damn enchiladas. No, but they didn't make my list, but they're still fucking great films.
Yeah.
They're fun films.
Absolutely.
Slasher craze.
And it's stuff like this, folks, is why we're doing this, because we have two completely different lists. Now, we didn't talk to each other. Neither one of us. He's got his list over there. I have no idea what's on it. I've got mine here. He has no idea what's on it.
Yep.
And it's weird that we don't have the same films on there. But then on the other side, it's really not all that weird because there's so many great films.
I come to realize, and I'll tell you this, Friday the 13th, 2 of those were on my last,
your big list.
My big list that was hard for me to break down.
Break it down.
So, yeah. Those films, they're fun. A lot of nudity. I mean, come on, you guys know it's.
And that's probably why I liked them so much.
Yeah, that's why I liked them when I was a kid, growing up. Plus, I loved slasher movies. You know, so this has got everything. This has got 80s horror written all over it.
Yeah,
absolutely. But then again, this is why we said we make these lists. Everybody's list is going to be different. We want to do this so we can test ourselves and try to get us to make ourselves a fucking number 10 list, and B, to give you guys our thoughts on things. Yeah.
I just fucking realized we're both wearing Michael Myers shirts.
Yeah. But
that's crazy.
I just pulled a Bill Van Vagel.
A Bill Van Vagel?
Yes.
Would you go to watch something on Tubi?
No, I switched my lists up.
Oh shit.
I just switched 2 of my numbers up.
Oh god. Here we go.
My new number 8.
Who does number 8 work for?
I got a feeling this one's going to be on your list.
Oh, shit.
So you may not be talking about this one yet. But my new number 8 is a little old movie you guys may have heard of called Poltergeist.
Yeah, you're right. We're not going to be talking about that film.
Yeah, so...
Because I'm not even going to tell you where it's at.
Yeah, I don't want you to tell me nothing. But I had a feeling this one's going to be on your list. It jumped down to my number 8. And the reason why I jumped down to my number 8 is I was sitting here thinking about things. And I'm like, you know what? This one's a little bit more important to me. So I switched it. Okay. It was higher on my list. Cool. I switched it. But anyways, Poltergeist, guys, we're going to talk about that more here in a minute. But I'll just give you kind of whenever.
Pretty in-depth.
So I won't go too deep into it. Great fucking film. Excellent film. Yeah. The way everything about it.
About that movie.
So JT's going to want to talk about it, I know.
I will say a lot about that movie here in a little bit.
Yeah, so I don't want to go too in depth with it. I love it. It's number 8 on my top 10 list. Very nostalgic for me. That's why it made it on my list. Yeah. Plus, it's just the everything in it is just creepy.
I'll be honest with you. I cannot see myself. I cannot see my life without that film.
So there you go.
I really.
So how I feel about it. Excellent film. Very nostalgic. You will not go wrong watching that movie. Period. And then we'll go. We'll move on because I knew that movie was going to be on JT's upper part of his list. So
way up on my list.
So we'll move on up to number 7.
All right. Do you want to do your 7, or you want me to go?
I can.
Go ahead.
I can. So my number 7 is a movie you probably did not think was going to be on my list.
Oh no.
It's a little movie called Children of the Corn. Okay. Now, this movie.
I am a little shocked, but I can see that.
Yes. Well, not only am I a horror movie fan, but I'm also like an apocalyptic movie fan, action fan. Mm-hmm. There's a little lady in this movie who's in one of my other favorite movies. That's an action movie called Terminator. And her name is Linda Hamilton. And she, this film, Children of the Corn, my number 7, when I was a kid, creeped the fucking shit out of me.
Oh, yeah, I'll agree with you on that.
And the atmosphere of this movie, the way they did the set, everything is just super fucking creepy. And I was a kid. And technically, I would be okay in this movie.
You would have been. And that's what... for most of us that watch this film, we watched it as children, and it still fucking creeped us out.
Exactly, that's my point.
And we shouldn't have been the ones creeped out because we'd have been fine. We were kids.
And that's one of the main reasons why it's high on my, number 7 on my list.
I don't know. See, I was, because their cutoff
was 18.
Was 18. So I was a few years away from that.
So that's why I made this one my number 7. Very nostalgic.
Did you write down when that came out?
I did not.
I want to say that was 85.
Yeah, it was.
I'm thinking.
Well, I can look it up.
I'm thinking it was.
Actually, I think I already have it looked up. As a matter of fact, I do look at that right in front of my face. 84.
84. Okay.
84. It also had Peter Horton as Linda. He played Bert, and Vicky was played by Linda, and they were soon to be married. Well, they just got married. My bad. And they're traveling to go to a place where her husband, who's a doctor, he's gonna be getting a new job and shit. So they're traveling through, and they run through this town, and there's an old man who owns a garage.
There's always a fucking creepy old man,
and he tells them, "Don't go that way, go the other way." They don't like strangers in that town.
Yeah.
Which, if you know the cool thing about these movies is if you know these movies, when you watch horror movies that come out today, you see the little nod of the hat to these movies. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's like with
they throw all those little things in there.
With Cabin in the Woods,
Cabin in the Woods.
They tell you always listen to the old man at the gas station. Well, this is one of those movies that came out that tell you. But anyways, Children of the Corn. It's about these kids who, religious freaks and stuff. They killed all the adults in town. This movie, if you haven't seen it, I'm sure most of you have if you're listening to this. If you have not seen this one, you got to watch this movie. To me, this is and you don't hear it talked about a lot, but I feel like this is an important movie for horror because, like I said before, I was a kid and I still was terrified of this movie.
Right.
And towards the end, really cool scene, like with the cornfield and the freaking dude. Just everything about the atmosphere of this movie.
Earth.
Yes.
Yeah.
The atmosphere of this movie, the soundtrack, the way they put the music behind, and you're constantly hearing the dude, fucking creepy as shit. Yeah. Great film. You guys will not go wrong with that. My number 7, Children of the Corn.
And this movie was right up there. I actually saw this before I saw Village of the Damned, which was very similar to this film.
Okay,
with Kirstie Alley,
and Christopher Reeve. Yeah.
another great film.
Yes,
but
that's
it
a
was
very
right
good one.
along the same lines as that Children of the Corn. Very creepy movie. In fact, it's funny, that movie is one of those films that, like, now when you're driving through somewhere and you're driving through some cornfields, he who walks behind the rose.
Yes.
I mean, it always comes out of my mouth whenever I'm driving through a cornfield.
No, that part, just a real quick, that part where the boy's running from the place, and then the part where he's actually getting killed, and they got the music playing, but you hear him going, dude, oh, man.
Yeah.
Great film. Children of the Corn, my number 7.
That's cool.
You guys should check that one out.
I wasn't expecting that.
I didn't think you would be. I surprised myself with this list.
Yeah.
It made me think about a lot of things.
It did. It made you think about your own existence.
Yes. I'm contemplating what's life
me.
all about. What's your number 7?
So here we go with my number 7, which may or I don't know. Your list is fucking weird, dude. Yeah. You've kind of thrown me for a loop here.
I know. I figured I would. There's a few on here you're gonna know. So
my number 7 may or may not have made your list, but my number 7 is a remake.
Ooh. Oh. Okay.
And I'm talking about John Carpenter's The Thing.
I knew this was gonna make it. It did not make my list.
1982.
I know. Surprised
Of course,
you.
directed by John Carpenter.
The man.
Starred fucking ever so awesome Kurt Russell.
Fuck yeah.
As McCready. Keith David as Childs. Wilford Brimley as Dr. Blair.
I got diabetes.
So on and so on. So many great actors in this film. This movie, I remember, I didn't see this movie till it was on cable, and I think that was probably around 83. And I watched this movie so many times. I was just so engrossed in it. I've always been big into aliens and different things like that, and this movie was just really cool. I actually, whenever I saw this film, I didn't find out till years later that it was even a remake. Remake. It's probably the best remake ever made. I mean, it was a fantastic film. The isolation these guys felt just being in this Antarctic wasteland, being trapped was something that they don't know anything about or how to control. Just so many cool scenes in it, and just the grotesqueness of the alien, and
yeah.
And it's funny. I'm gonna talk about the scene because I have to. So the scene where he has collected all the blood from the people. Every time I know exactly who it is, but I fucking still jump every fucking time he puts that fucking hot poker in that dish and the fucking blood's. I don't know why, man. I jump every time.
See, this one didn't make my list.
Just a fucking cool movie.
And it is a great movie.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you something, Kurt Russell, the fucking man.
Yeah, absolutely.
But this one didn't make my list. But again, it's a great fucking horror movie.
Yeah.
Great horror movie.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of the reasons that I pick my movies is a little different than others. I pick mine, a lot of it has to do with nostalgia.
Yeah,
it has to do with where it takes me when I'm watching it.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, and I get that. I don't know that The Thing really takes me anywhere other than to my childhood when I watched it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, man.
I mean, to watch that film, they're so secluded and so alone, and trapped.
Well, it's like
it's a very claustrophobic movie.
Yeah. And it's a great fucking movie, dude.
Yeah,
like whenever it takes over the dog and shit, and it's all fucking dude.
It's freaking horrible.
Man,
and having to burn these things with the freaking flamethrower.
Fuck, dude.
Everything, and you don't know who. Well, I mean, if you've seen the film, you know who. But as you're going through, it's almost got that murder mystery feel to it too, because you don't know. It's probably one of these guys, but you don't know who, and it's not who you think it is. And, it's just really cool the way he. Carpenter's a master at this kind of stuff.
He's the man. I mean, there's nothing else to say about that. He's just the freaking man.
Absolutely.
So I'm gonna go ahead and let you You're
going back to
going to go back to your number 6 there, Boudreaux.
666, the number of the beast. Little Maiden for you.
Oh, yeah.
Hope we don't get in trouble for that.
Copyrighted.
Number 6. I've told you guys numerous times I'm a sucker for ghost stories and haunted houses and stuff like that. Number 6 is an odd movie to make anybody's top 10 list.
Ooh, okay.
Well, I say that it's not, because it's a great film. It's not one of those movies that's high on the radar.
Gotcha.
And that movie is The Changeling.
Ooh.
From 1980.
Ooh.
This movie was directed by Peter Novak. Stars George C. Scott and Trish Van Dever. George C. Scott plays a man who his wife and daughter are accidentally killed in a car accident, and he takes a job at a university as a composition teacher. And so he ends up renting a house that is off campus grounds, and the house is haunted. And of course, there's a story behind the haunting, and he's got to figure it out. But there's so many cool scenes in this film that just kind of creep you out. There's a really cool seance scene in this movie. The house is just, of course, it's an absolutely gorgeous house, even though it's a little rundown. It's like a freaking mansion.
Yeah.
Just very cool. One of the really creepy things about this film is the ghost is actually a child, so that kind of unnerves you from the beginning. But one of the scenes that usually screws a lot of people up is the ball bouncing down the staircase, because it kind of fucks George C. Scott up too. But interesting little bit of trivia here. So George C. Scott starred in this film with Trisha Van Dever. He actually ended up marrying her, and they were married for years.
A little on-set romance. Yeah. This happens here every time.
So great film. If you haven't seen it and you like a good ghost story, now there's not a lot of
jump scares.
There's not a lot of jump scares. It's just the whole movie has just got a creepy feel.
This movie and it's so fucking weird. I know it sounds weird, but the way the atmosphere of this movie and the way it's filmed and everything, what it reminds me of? We used to have to watch this shit all the time in school. The House of Usher.
Oh yeah.
It kind of reminds me the way it's filmed.
Yeah, kinda,
like the way it looks.
Except, the House of Usher was like a Hammer horror film. Kind of.
Yeah.
They got a little extreme with blood and stuff. Whereas this movie, there's hardly anything like that in there. It's just a very creepy vibe.
The vibe is the same.
The story of this movie will creep you out.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's surprising me. That's a good one.
Very cool film.
I didn't even think
very
that
cool.
was...
This is one of those films that's up there with classic.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you watch this film, you feel like you're watching, I don't want to say a masterpiece, but a master class in suspense.
Suspense, baby. Yeah. So,
cool.
My number 6 is a movie that has to do with one of your movies. It's a little movie called Return of the Living Dead 2.
Oh, part 2.
Yeah,
yes.
baby.
Yes, sir.
That's my number 6, Return of the Living Dead part 2.
I looked at that and looked at that and looked at that and said, nope, I'm not putting it on.
I had to, man. It's I'm a zombie fan. I love zombie movies, and this one, I love part 1, but this one, I think it has a lot to do with when I was younger, the kid aspect.
Yeah.
I
just watched this not too long ago.
I know. I literally just watched this probably a couple months ago.
Fucking cool movie. It always kind of fucked me up because I remember them bringing James Cameron back, Frank.
Yeah, well,
I was always like, how the fuck did they do that? And so I watched it again not too long ago, and I was like, okay, I got it.
I see what you did there.
I see what you did.
But yeah, this is just one of those, just like Return of the Living Dead. Mm-hmm. It's just one of those fun zombie movies. It's cool. What's cool about this one is that it and the first one is that you have a reason why there are.
Yeah.
It's not some weird thing that happens or whatever. Mm-hmm. There's a reason. There's a story behind it. I love. Okay, one of the main things in this movie that stuck in my head ever since I was a child, is the kid's face that turns into a zombie. The older kid who's a little asshole, his face when he turns and he actually sees him, and he comes out and he's like, "Bray," and he's going after him. That kid's face stuck in my fucking head my whole life. So when I think about zombie movies, I'm like, there was a time when I was like, what the fuck was that movie? I didn't remember what the movie was. Yeah. Like we talked about earlier when we were saying, like, sometimes
I do that all the time. It's like, what the hell was that movie from?
Yeah,
most of the time I end up owning the movie.
Exactly, like, so it's one of those things. And then, but Return of the Living Dead 2, great little fun soundtrack, comedy kind of, you know.
What's weird is Return of the Living Dead 2 wasn't quite as campy as the first one.
Mm-mm.
Nope. It was a little more serious.
Yeah.
But it was still on the same line.
Yes.
The first film.
But I fucking, this is one of my favorites, man. I'm a huge zombie fan. Yeah. And this one was one of those movies I watched when I was younger and was like, it would get me, amped up, and I'd be like, oh, dude, it would be cool if this happened, So it's just super, super nostalgic for me. I don't think you'll go wrong watching this one.
No, absolutely.
It's just one of those films that's really fun. It's 80s, 100% 80s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You got her fucking doing her jazzercise shit, fucking in the living room and stuff, and all that kind of shit.
Oh, fucking, they try to take the old man's car. And
no one drives my car. Fucking. You gotta love it. Yeah. It's a great film. You will definitely not go wrong with that one, man. There's a ton of great scenes in this one. The fucking zombie with the screwdriver stuck in her fucking head. Yeah. Get that screwdriver out of my head! Oh shit!
I love it.
It's a great film. Yeah. If you guys haven't seen this one, I'm surprised. I'm sure most of you guys have seen that one. If not, you gotta watch it. Will not be disappointed, man. Yeah. So my number 6 was Return of the Living Dead Part 2. All right, brother.
So I've forgotten how to count.
You're on number 5.
Oh, I'm on number 5. Number 5. All right, so number 5. I told you this was going to happen. Yet another series movie. Funny, it came right after the other one that I just talked about, I don't know, a few minutes ago.
Oh, I see.
I know where you're going. My number 5 is Friday the 13th, the final chapter. Arguably the greatest Friday the 13th film in the series.
That is my favorite, by the way.
So many cool things in this movie. So many fucked up things in this movie. The most fucked up thing is the Crispin Glover dance. Yeah, that's it. So anyway, this film was actually directed by Joseph Zito. It starred Eric Anderson as Rob. Judy Aronson is the lovely Samantha. Peter Barton played Doug, which Peter Barton, if you guys don't know who he is, he did a show called The Adventures of Matthew Starr, early 80s. Very weird. He was an alien. Weird show. But, and of course, Corey Feldman is Tommy.
The man!
And
I love Corey Feldman.
Ted White played Jason. Modus operandi of this movie is pretty much the same. Somebody fucked up and pissed Jason off, and he's going to kill a bunch of people. Just some very cool feel to this film. Typical Friday the 13th, but on a much bigger budget. You know, you got Tom Savini doing all the makeup for this.
The man,
and
Tom Savini.
Just, you know, when you got to the end of this film, you truly thought, this is the end. They can't do anymore.
One of my favorite parts of this movie it's just a fucking little part, dude, but the part with the hitchhiker chick and the banana, you know?
Oh, yeah. And the sign.
Yeah.
Fuck you. Yeah.
This is my favorite.
I think one of the fucked up parts of the movie is remember the car breaks down and the guy,
the big dude,
the hiker dude or whatever, is walking by and they pick him up, and anyway he goes as you get close to the end of the movie, he ends up in a basement. And Jason is down there, and Jason attacks him, and it's so fucking horrible acting. He's laying there. He's killing me. He's killing me. It's just like, who wrote that shit?
No shit.
But you know, one of my favorite scenes is old Corey Feldman on the bed,
dude,
looking out the window, watching the girls change their clothes in the house next door.
Yeah, I fucking love Corey Feldman.
And the mom, he can hear the mom walking down the hall, so he hurries up and jumps in bed and acts like he's asleep. So did that shit when I was a kid.
Yeah, dude.
But yeah, so many cool scenes.
That's my favorite one of the whole series.
Yeah. And it truly is a lot of people's favorite. I really loved what they did with Tommy, Corey Feldman's character in that film. How he was really big into horror. And
the way he made the masks and shit.
Stuff.
Yeah, dude.
I just thought that was fucking cool.
Savini there. Yes, there you go. You know, he's
absolutely. You know, in Friday the 13th, you know, was another film I saw in the theater, and it will just always hold a special place in my heart.
Yeah, man. And it's crazy because, like, we're not going to talk about it too much.
Just because of the skinny dipping scene. No.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Right.
But, we're not going to...
We're not going to take it.
No! But, no, it's hard on some of these. My number 5 is a movie that, like... The first one and this one are super close to me. I love all of them, but the first one and the second one are some of my all-time favorites. And the reason why the first one isn't on my list because it didn't come out in the 80s. It came out before the 80s. Just barely. So, my number 5...
where you're going.
My number 5 is Phantasm 2. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Phantasm, if you guys haven't seen the first one, you need to watch it. It came out in 79. 79.
Phantasm 2 came out in 86.
Yes.
Which was crazy because it was like 7 years after the original film came out. And they continued the story, and they did a very good job with it.
I fucking love it, dude. Phantasm.
I remember that movie was... When I found out that film was coming out that summer, that was like the most highly anticipated film, because the first one is so good.
It's just iconic. It's one of those movies. It's first Phantasm. If you haven't watched it, do yourself a favor. Yeah. Go watch it. Now
it's not 80s, but
go
back and watch it.
Go back and watch it, and then it'll help you understand what's going on with the. But anyways, Phantasm 2. Very fun movie. If you haven't watched it, any of them, I absolutely love the storyline of the whole series. Yeah. The storyline is killer.
It's a weird storyline, but it's fucking cool.
But it's good, I mean, it's about this guy they call Tall Man, and he's an interdimensional traveler who comes and basically takes your soul to be slaves on his planet. And
he's got soul.
Dude,
super bad.
It's just fucking so good. The storyline. Yeah. And then you got, Reggie.
Old Reggie Bannon.
I love Reggie,
just
man.
Hot as love.
We're just hot as love. But, Tommy, Reggie, Mike, and they go to fight the Tall Man and try to figure out what's going on, and then you meet a lot of cool characters along the way. especially in the other ones, the third and fourth, but part 2 for me is fucking, I don't know why. We've talked about this on our show before, but I'm huge into, like, I love the aspect of fighting evil. Yeah. I love, we'll talk about later, because that's on my list.
I know.
So I just love the aspect of fighting evil. And part 2 of Phantasm, you get these guys, and they're making
bacon.
They're making weapons to go fight the tall man.
Dude, that freaking shotgun.
The 4-barrel shotgun, man. This is when you get introduced to the 4-barrel shotgun, brother. And the film is now they did go with a different character in it. At least Reggie was there.
Right.
Reggie saved it.
Well, what was cool about this is the first movie was so atmospheric.
Yes.
The second film, they continued to, I mean, it was still
just, yeah.
Like, holy shit.
Yeah, they definitely nailed
it.
And
that doesn't happen a lot in films.
Especially with that much distance in between them.
Because you're changing directors and writers,
And with that many years in between them, it's usually bad. But
now, what's weird is I say that, you change, but to my knowledge, I am pretty sure that Coscarelli did all of these.
I'm pretty sure he did. He did. And, I got the whole set. It's just a really great storyline. You guys like it. I think if you give it a chance and you watch it, you're going to really love it.
Especially if you go back and watch the first one.
Yes.
You watch the first one and then the second one back to back. I mean, you'll get it.
Hell yeah.
You will definitely get it.
I love the whole series. Phantasm, the first one, is fucking on my number 1 or 2 list on my all-time. Very super, super, super nostalgic for me. A lot of reasons why. We've talked about it before. But Phantasm 2, it was very easy for me to put that as my number 5. And
because you're halfway there.
Well, that one was one of those where I was like, man, do I want to put it up
higher? Yeah.
It's just it's hard. It's hard. But Phantasm 2.
Just because a movie is our number 10 doesn't mean that it's not better or worse than any of these.
Like I said,
it's hard to put these things in order.
Number 10 is like number 1 nowadays.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
It's very hard.
Absolutely.
So what's up with your number 4? We're getting
all
up
right.
there. We're in our top 5, guys. We're in our top 5. So.
Number 4 here. I am going to rip off the Band-Aid.
Rip it.
And I'm going to piss a lot of people off. My number 4, 1982, Halloween 3, Season of the Witch.
Ooh, this one almost made my list.
I'm going to tell you right now, the first time I saw this film, I was disappointed in it. There's no Michael Myers. There's no, what the hell are they thinking, But when you step back and you look at this film as a standalone movie, it's fucking creepy.
Yes.
It is fucking creepy.
Very good.
This movie was directed by Tommy Lee Wallace. Here's a little crazy tidbit trivia. Tommy Lee Wallace was the prop director and had a lot to do with the original film that came out in 1978. He also was married to Nancy Keys, is her name now. But she played Nancy Loomis in the original film. She was also in this movie. This movie starred Tom Atkins as Daniel Cahill, Stacey Nelkin as Ellie, Grudenbach, I think was her last name. She was the love interest for Tom Atkins in this film. Tom Atkins, a fucking stud.
Yeah, buddy.
He fucks everybody in every movie. I mean, come on. The guy's a stud. Dan O'Hurley played Connell Cochran. Very great, very cool choice to have this guy play the arch nemesis, or I guess you could put it. I mean,
Yeah,
the
bad guy,
the main bad guy. You know, Nancy Keys, who I told you was married to Tommy Lee Wallace, she played Linda Cahill. She was Tom Atkins' ex-wife. You know, I don't know if they were exes. I know they were estranged. They were separated, but
They were probably.
I honestly, he should have been. She was still cute. But anyway, and here's a cool thing a lot of people don't know. The announcer for the town that they were in, Jamie Lee Curtis.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, this is a very cool story. Like I said, if you put Michael Myers aside, basically you've got a guy that has created a doomsday weapon, per se. He has put a microchip in Halloween masks that he's going to distribute to all the children all over the country. And whenever they watch his promo video on Halloween night, these masks are going to go haywire and basically kill these kids. Very cool. I remember when this film came out, I could not wait to get my hand on one of those masks.
I fucking wish.
The skull, the pumpkin, and the witch. Now, here's a big fucking thing. Have you seen the preview for Halloween Kills?
Yes.
The 3 iconic masks are in the movie.
Yes, I seen that. I seen that. It looks awesome. I know a lot of people are mad because they leaked a bunch of shit or something.
I don't care, man. I can't wait to see it.
I know it's gonna be good.
Cannot wait to see it.
But just a little quick thing. We talking about Jamie Lee Curtis. I watched a movie with her today in it. A movie called Virus.
Oh shit! I forgot about that.
Yeah, I watched that today.
Wow.
Yeah, as I was making my list, that's what was on the TV.
Shit.
Or working on more.
Absolutely fantastic in True Lies. Anyway,
Trading Place.
that striptease scene that she does with Arnold. Anyway,
Anywho,
yeah, Halloween 3. I
love
know
it.
A lot of people give this movie flack, but
I like it. The atmosphere
I
is
love this movie. I mean, it's one of those films I have to watch every Halloween.
well. The atmosphere in it is just like Halloween.
And the story behind it. I mean, it's
Yeah, I love the fucking mask, man. The whole concept of it, super, super good. This one did not make my list, but
it should have. Damn it. No, it doesn't surprise me. This movie would not make a lot of people's top 10 lists.
Well,
for me, it's nostalgia.
Yes, there you go.
Love this film.
There you go.
Love it.
It's just one of the. It is a great film, especially if you, like you said, go into it just as a standalone movie by itself. Just think about it like that,
Yep.
you know. And I will be honest with you. When I was a kid, I didn't really get it.
But as an adult.
But as an adult, I got it, and I'm like, well, as a teenager,
Especially when you think about around Halloween when you're going shopping
dude.
for masks for your kids.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah. Fucking tell me that movie ain't creepy.
That was awesome, dude.
Oh, and Michael Myers is in it for a brief second.
Yes.
There's a guy watching watching Halloween on a TV set.
So, my number 4 is a little movie that is probably, definitely a majority of the people's number 1 in the series. And that is a movie called Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, Dream Warriors.
We're the
Dream Warriors, don't want to dream no more.
You would have that film. Okay, well, wait a minute. We're not done with our list here.
It's my number 4.
Okay. Number four.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Dream Warriors. Yeah, very cool. I remember by the time I got to that film, I was thinking, man, the series is going downhill really quick, you know. And then that film, just the imagery they used in that movie was just
dude,
over the top.
Let's just be honest. Part 2 was a fucking shit show. Okay? Let's just be honest.
Well, okay, then there's that.
Part 2 was just such a shit show. Part 1 was great, and then Part 2 was just such a shit show, and you're like, what the fuck, man? They ruined it. And then, bam. I like the rest of them. I don't care what anybody says. I love the rest. And part 2 is the only one I don't like. But part 3 is my number 4. And this movie, big part, like I said, I love the concept of fighting evil and shit, you know. And with this one, it's cool because, like you talked about with the imagery and the way that they showed that these people could work together in their dreams,
right.
And like just, you know, fucking the bad chick with the fucking knives, and then like Frey's got his whole fucking fingers all jacked up with fucking syringes and shit, man.
Oh, yeah.
Like this,
because she was the junkie.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if you haven't seen this, you're probably not listening to this podcast, because I can probably say that every person who's listening to this podcast has seen this movie. So
Man, I haven't watched that in a long time. I need to go. That's it. I'm going in the house. I'll see you guys later.
Yeah, bye, fuckers. You'll never know our fucking top 3. But no, my number 4, Nightmare on Elm Street, part 3, man, Dream Warriors. Great soundtrack. That's what you guys just heard us do a lovely rendition of.
And now we're going to have a break from our sponsors. We are sponsored tonight by Freddy's Cutlery.
But, yeah, you know, you can't go wrong with this one. I'm sure every guy's seen that. If you haven't, go check it out. Go watch the whole fucking series except for number 2. Act like part 2 never happened.
Who does number 2 work for?
Fucking somebody else.
It wasn't working for Nightmare on Elm Street.
That's for damn sure. Oh, shit.
Jeez.
All right, guys. Now, we're getting to the fucking big dogs here.
We're getting to the nitty gritty.
The big dogs, the top 3. This is hard to do.
My top 3 will not surprise you at all.
Yeah, I was going to say you probably already know at least 2 of my top 3.
I'm pretty sure I know what your number 1 is.
I bet you don't. I know what you think. I know what
I'm thinking of. All right, so my number 3. Absolutely love this film for everything about it. Creepshow from 1982.
Oh, did not see that one coming.
Oh, yeah. This movie, directed by George Romero, written by Stephen King, starring fucking everybody on the planet. I mean, you got fucking Ted Danson, Leslie Nielsen, fucking Hal Holbrook, fucking... Jesus, the list goes on and on and on. Fucking Adrienne Barbeau. I mean, come on. This movie was so good that they had to make a series out of it and fucking ruin it. No. The series isn't that bad. But this movie, I love how they put it together. You know, how they had, of course... Hopefully you've seen this film. It's an anthology type film. You know, you've got 4 different stories taking place in 4 different places, and there's 4 different fucked up outcomes. But from the onslaught, the very first story, I watch it every year. Just watched it a couple weeks ago. The very first story, Father's Day. I want my cake, Bedelia. Absolutely love that. You know, and it's got fucking Ed Harris in it. Ed Harris.
It's been so long since I've seen that one.
So good. So creepy, and every story is like, holy shit, you know. And what's cool is they break these stories up with fucking Tom Atkins playing the dickhead father. And what's really cool about it, the little boy is none other than Joe Hill, Stephen King's son.
Bam.
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 How can you go wrong with
Spice
that?
it up a notch.
You got every horror icon in this film. The only horror icon that was in this film that was not a horror icon was fucking Leslie Nielsen.
Hey, man. Yeah,
But he played a fucking killer part.
It's been a very long time since I've seen that, but I know I do remember it, and it's fucking.
Yeah.
It's just one of those classic. It's like I seen that before I seen Tales from the Crypt.
You want to have a good time, you can throw Creepshow in at any time, anywhere, and people are going to stop and watch it. It's just a fun film to watch.
Yes. Like I said, I seen that before I seen Tales from the Crypt, so
Yeah.
It's just a great, and you gotta love the anthology films, Trick or Treat, shit like that, especially the remake, that Trick or Treat, dude, killer.
Cat's Eye.
Fuck, Cat's Eye, yeah, man. I mean, list goes on,
There was a lot of them.
but great film.
And an iconic director like George Romero.
Oh, George Romero.
The guy knows what he's doing. And this movie was not a zombie film. It was not. There was a zombie in it.
I can say.
It wasn't a zombie film.
I love zombies. But anyways,
Anywho,
so my number 3.
moving on.
My number 3, guys. And this was hard. The top 5 was hard. My number 3 is a movie called Night of the Demons.
Oh, I was so worried you weren't going to get that on your list. Holy shit.
No.
Holy shit.
This movie is we did an episode on this, our second episode of the show. Like, this is actually, to be honest with you, this was our first episode, because our very first episode we did was just us introducing ourselves.
Yeah.
This is our very first episode we did, and this fucking movie still stands up today.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And what's cool about this movie is a lot of younger cats who are kind of new to the horror game probably haven't seen this.
They probably haven't. But they probably have seen the remake.
Yes.
A lot of the younger generation will probably get into the remake a little more, but it's not near as good of a
Fuck
film.
no.
Not near as good.
Do yourself a favor.
Go back and watch
Go
the
back
original.
and watch the original.
Yeah, absolutely.
Night of the Demons.
Watch the
man.
original for the lipstick scene alone.
Who's the lipstick queen?
Who?
Linnea Quigley. That's right, guys. That's right. You can't go
Bam.
fucking wrong. This movie, I don't even know how to express it enough to literally scares the shit out of people still today, and it stands up today. Like,
Well, it's a very creepy film.
fucking super creepy. So
And the
basically,
whole premise behind it too.
yes, dude, just
Trapped.
so basically, this movie is about a party that a girl named Angela is throwing. And it's a Halloween party that just so happens to be taking place in a mortuary. And they have this party and literally release the demons. And killer fucking scenes in this, funny fucking scenes in this, fucking scenes in this.
Oh, that coffin scene.
Oh, geez. Yeah, the coffin. You guys will understand when you watch it. But one of my favorite scenes, I'm not going to tell you guys too much about this because I really, 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 really want you guys to watch this movie. One of my favorite scenes in this whole fucking film is the Stigmata scene when she's dancing.
Yes. Yeah.
God
Just
dang.
the music they're playing,
The
and the way she moves.
the whole-
And it's not just because she's a beautiful girl. It just
The-
the effect that they give out during
Man.
that scene. I mean, just
Such a great movie. Night of the Demons. You guys have to go watch that. The original. Not the one that came out in, 2010 or some shit like that? I can't remember when it fucking came out. Not the new one. The 80s version. You guys got to watch it. Such an amazing film. Still holds up today. It's a staple in my household. I fucking love that movie, dude. Super creepy. Super, super creepy. Dude, I can't say enough about it. I want you guys to watch it, though, so you have to watch this movie. This is a movie that I want people to bring back. And what is cool about the newer generation of horror fans is that a lot of them like the old shit. So I'm hoping that they bring this movie back and put it out there where people see it. Like, I really want them to fucking check this one out. My number 3, Night of the Demons. Please go check that one out. Do yourself a fucking favor. Do yourself a favor.
God, great movie.
Yes, such a great film. Now, this is our
Holy Jesus.
nitty gritty, boys. 1 and 2. 1 and 2. So,
who does number 2 work for?
all right. All right.
So my number 2 movie is Austin Powers.
All right.
Jesus.
All right, buddy. All right, buddy.
I'm starting to sweat here.
He's sweating over here.
No surprise that this film would be on my list. Absolutely no surprise. The greatest werewolf transformation ever put on film. And I'm talking about 1982's An American Werewolf in London.
Werewolf in London.
I still, to this day, absolutely love this movie. You talk about a movie holding up. You cannot go wrong with this film. Just everything about it, the way they filmed it. You had the fantastic John Landis directed this movie. Starred David Naughton, Jenny Argula, and Griffin Dunn as Jack. So much atmospheric horror in this film. I just don't even know what to say about it. I mean, it is so good.
You know, whenever people are just literally, they put out video, there is breakdowns of the transformation in this movie.
Yes.
Videos of people just doing breakdowns about the transformation.
So, we talk about Tom Savini a lot on here because he's
The man.
one of the greatest makeup effects artists ever. But you got to give it up to Rick Baker. Rick Baker, like I said, the greatest werewolf transformation ever put on film. Even the stuff they do today, which they do some really cool stuff today, nothing will ever come close to what Rick Baker did with this film. So many cool scenes. Jack, his friend that was murdered, they're both attacked by a werewolf. David survives. Jack is killed. But Jack keeps coming back to David. And every time he comes back, he's a little more decayed and a little more rotten. And, he's trying to get David to kill himself because he knows he's going to turn into a werewolf. This movie had so much going on for it.
Like I said, when you literally have people breaking down your shit, just one part of your movie.
Yeah, and we're talking a 3-minute clip out of a movie that has just, like Ryan said, people are constantly breaking that down and, looking at every aspect of it on how he did this and how he did that. And do yourself a favor, if you've never seen this movie, even if you don't like werewolf films, check out the werewolf transformation in this film. You will not be disappointed.
Yes, 100%, 100%.
And the music that they're playing behind it, they're playing Creedence, Bad Moon Rising. And, you wouldn't think of that song as being a good song for a horror film, but it fits so well
perfectly
in that scene.
Yep.
Just so many cool aspects about this film. I don't want to break it down, but I absolutely love that movie.
Man, that kind of just reminded me of something. A movie that I know didn't make our list. Because I know you're number 1 now.
Yeah.
And you don't know what my number 1 is yet.
I don't.
But you know what my number 2 is.
Please don't share your number 2.
No, but I can't believe, now that I'm thinking about it, I can believe it because I went through it all and did it, but Pet Sematary.
Yeah. Well, and there's a reason behind that, and we can talk about that later.
Well, we can, but that's not on this one.
Yeah.
But anyway, so
Pet Sematary is a great film.
And JT already knows what my number 2 is now, since.
And he knows what my number 1 is. And if
So
you guys have been paying attention, you'll know what my number 1 is.
Yeah, my number 1 is a surprise for him.
Whoa.
My number one's a surprise.
It's a surprise.
So my number 2 is The Lost Boys.
Yeah.
The Lost Boys. Fuck this movie.
Yeah, fuck this movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
His favorite part of The Lost Boys was that dude with the saxophone. Yeah.
That's everybody's favorite part.
That's funny. You know what this movie needs? A guy with a saxophone and no shirt.
And fucking tight jeans or tight pants on. Yeah, yoga pants.
No, I'm not knocking this movie at all.
No, man.
Fucking awesome.
So, The Lost Boys, fuck. I mean,
I didn't put it on my list because I knew Ryan would.
it's got Corey Feldman, Corey Haim, fucking Kiefer. I mean,
Kiefer
fucking
Sutherland. I mean,
Amy Gertz or
Winters,
Jamie Gertz.
Jamie Gertz. What was Alex
Winters. I mean,
who was the guy?
oh, the fucking
Patrick.
Yeah. God dang it! There's so many great
Just
acts.
had the Edward guy that
Yep.
we were trying to think of a while ago.
Yes.
Edward Cullen. And no.
You motherfucker.
God, so many fucking cool
This is
things
a
in
real vampire
And
movie.
the music, the score of this film was just unbelievable.
I just want, this movie. Everybody's seen this one, probably Lost Boys. If you have not seen this one, if you're new to horror, go do yourself a favor. Go look at this fucking movie. Now, this movie to me is fucking vital in my horror history, in my growing up history. Yeah. Yeah. And it literally played a role in my life to the point to where, there was time in my life I was a frog brother in my head. I did a lot of things, man. That's what, like I said, I like the aspect of fighting evil and shit. And like I completely felt at home with them.
Yeah.
I fit in with them. You know what I mean? A movie like this, it's a cult classic, with the Coreys in it. Together, they were just fucking awesome,
Yeah.
And it's just this one holds a fucking very dear part in my heart, and it still holds up today. You can watch it at any fucking point in time, no matter when it is.
Oh yeah.
And if I'm having a bad day or it gets to the point where I got to get away from the fucking world and just get back to fucking normalcy, I'll go watch that fucking movie and shoots me back to being a fucking kid.
It's funny. There's times when I'm messing around the house, I'll throw that movie in just for the soundtrack.
Yeah, man.
That
opening scene when they're driving, fucking doom, 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 people are strange.
Yeah.
So
many great songs in this movie.
The grandpa, he's funny as shit, One thing I couldn't stand about Santa Claus, all the damn vampires.
Yeah.
You gotta love. This movie's just so good.
Great.
I cannot say enough about this film. Like I said, the reason why this is my number 2 and not my number 1, like he thought it was.
I thought for sure that'd be your number 1.
Yes. Well, my number 1 is a movie that you should probably know what my number 1 is coming up. But
no, you already fucked that up for me.
Well, it's an important one to both of us.
All right.
But this movie is, yeah. Lost Boys is, we do this podcast because we love movies.
Yeah.
We love horror movies.
Absolutely. But there are certain ones that just stick out to us, and
It's like-
Lost Boys is one of those films.
It's like music. We love music as well on this podcast. And some songs, I have a thing where I really feel music. Like I fucking feel it in my bones.
Feel you, bro.
Yeah. So like, there's some songs that they'll fucking get you, dude, and they hit you. This movie hits me all the time. Big part of my childhood, big part of my life. My boys love it. I introduced it to them. That's another great thing about this movie is I can let my children watch it, and There's nothing wrong with it at all, you know. So, yeah, my number 2, Lost Boys. If you haven't seen it, I don't know where you've been. If you haven't, fucking go check it out. You will definitely not be disappointed.
Take yourself all the way back to 1987.
Fuck.
Watch that film.
Yeah. You'll do yourself a fucking great favor.
Yeah.
So, all right.
There it is. Ding, 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 ding.
Numero unos. Now.
All right. If you listen to the whole show, you know what my number 1 is because we've talked about it. And I'm going to tell you why it's my number 1. So, my number 1 film is Poltergeist from 1982. I personally feel, to me, that movie, it's such a great film. I mean, it just kind of wrapped up my childhood, you know. This movie had so much going on for it. Had a fantastic director, fantastic writer, a great cast. So this movie was directed by Tobe Hooper. It was written by Steven Spielberg. Now, there is some rumor out there that this movie really wasn't directed by Tobe Hooper. They just put Tobe Hooper's name as the director, that Steven Spielberg was really calling the shots in this film. And if you watch it and you compare it to another 1982 classic, E.T., you can understand that. So Spielberg was really busy working on E.T. at the time that he needed to put somebody else's name on a film. Now, I'm not knocking Tobe Hooper. Tobe Hooper does some fantastic shit. I mean, of course, he was responsible for Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Fuck yeah.
But this movie is just, for someone like me who is a haunted house freak and a ghost story junkie, this movie is like over the top. It's everything you could want from a ghost story. You've got the innocent family moving into a home. Well, you know, they move into a home in a brand new subdivision. They've got a brand new house. This house can't be haunted. Wrong. You know, you've got Greg T. Nelson playing the father in this film. You know, he plays Stephen Freeling. The lovely Jo Beth Williams, who plays Diane Freeling. Heather O'Rourke is Carol Ann. And I'm going to bring this up because it's kind of a sad deal. You've got Dominique Dunn playing the daughter Dana, who unfortunately was murdered by her boyfriend just a few short years later. In real life. But the reason why I bring that up here, because I'm not trying to down anybody, Dominique Dunn was the sister of Griffin Dunn, who played Jack in my number 2 movie, An American Werewolf in London. Kind of weird that those 2 movies came together for me, but...
So this is the first movie that is on both of our lists?
This is the first movie that's on both of our lists. That's weird. That is really weird. But everything... you talk about imagery in a film, you can't get more... You can. You can, but there is some imagery in this film... you know, the ghosts coming down the staircase when they're filming it. The one beast ghost outside the door when she's laying in the hallway. Don't hurt my babies.
You know, one of my favorite scenes.
So creepy.
One of my favorite scenes is, and some of my favorite parts of this is the simplest parts, and that's the part where like, whenever she is talking to Carol Ann in the kitchen in the morning. Yeah. She's talking to her, and she's like, "Who? The TV people did it." Yeah. And then she turns around, and like everything's stacked up on the fucking table. All the chairs are stacked up on, like in a weird fucking way. Yeah. And she's like, "Oh!" And then like something one person wouldn't be able to do, especially in that amount of time. Right. Right. You're talking a split second. And then like the part where just shortly after that, whenever she's sitting there and she's like got her shooting across the kitchen floor. Yeah, yeah. When her husband Stephen, Craig T. Nelson, comes home and she's like, "Come on, I got to show you this," you know.
And
it's it's the smaller things that really.
Yeah.
That's the great thing about 80s horror too, is that like they didn't need a bunch to fucking make you.
And then there's the really extreme parts, like when one of the paranormal investigators rips his face off in the laundry room.
Yes.
You know, that part, I still watch that, and I'm like, I almost have to look away, you know. But I want to see it. You know?
Yeah.
Just so many cool scenes in that film when she falls in the pool with all the skeletons and stuff. You know,
that's a meme now.
It is. Just a great film. That movie, came out. I was really young then. And just that movie really hit me hard, and I just love the story behind it, and I still watch that movie all the time. I watch it probably 2 or 3 times a year because I absolutely love it. I love the way they filmed it. I love everything about it. It gives you that close-knit family feel that is in peril, and there's no escape from it, and I can't reiterate to you guys how much I love that film, and that is why it made my number one.
Yeah, it's a great film, man. It's on my list. Great film, classic, cult classic,
Yeah.
Everyone remembers. Everybody knows a part out of that movie,
Yeah, absolutely.
Everyone, hey, just get out of line, Carolyn, or they're here, all that, people remember that.
Zelda Rubinstein playing the psychic medium kind of.
Man. I mean, people remember that shit. So
that part where she's like, "I'm gonna go after her," and Steven's like, "No, let me go," and she's like, "Yeah, you're right. You go." It's just funny,
But I mean,
love that film.
Great movie, man. Great number one.
The effects on that are amazing.
Yeah,
amazing.
Fucking great film.
It's hard to believe, even watching that film now. It is hard to believe that movie came out in 1982.
Yeah.
The effects that are in that film. How the hell did they pull that off in 1982? Yeah. I'll tell you how.
Steven
Spielberg and a lot of fucking money.
Yeah. So. Great film.
So here we are.
It's a surprise.
It's a surprise.
It's a surprise. So, what's our favorite horror movie? What's our favorite horror movie?
Well, I know what my favorite horror movie is.
And that is?
Halloween.
Yes, Halloween, right? So, my number one, Halloween 2.
What?
Halloween 2.
Wow.
And the only reason why it's my number one.
That's amazing. I wouldn't have guessed that.
And Halloween.
And it's a good film.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. And we talked about this with Halloween. Halloween, the first one, is such an amazing piece if you appreciate what the amount of things they did. Mm-hmm. With the little that they had.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The way they were able to hold people in that film.
It's such an atmospheric movie.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And part 2 keeps that fucking going.
It does.
So for me, Halloween, there's a battle between Phantasm and Halloween for my number ones. Okay, because I fucking love Halloween, the first one. Yeah. It just feeds me that fucking that feeling I want from a horror movie, and not only that, but like that puts you in that Halloween spirit. I could feel it, like I talked about before, when she's walking across the street to see what's going on, and the wind's blowing. I could feel that. I know what that feels like. So, part 2 keeps that going. The reason why I love part 2 and it made my number one is because it's like I can watch these back to back, and it's like I'm watching a fucking 4-hour movie almost. You know what I mean? It just goes straight.
And they meant it to be that way.
Exactly, and that's my whole point. The reason why part 2 of Halloween is my number one, it's amazing fucking film. But to me, it's just Halloween.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It just keeps going.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I love that movie. It puts me into... I can watch Halloween and just start hearing that opening credits that fucking Carpenter fucking made, the song Carpenter
Dude, that
did.
fucking video you shared with me today was fucking badass.
I told you, yeah, man. It's fucking awesome.
Fucking John Carpenter's band playing that song live.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
like
fucking
fairly
cool,
recently,
dude.
too.
Yeah, yeah.
But, man, it just puts me... and it's
Right back in that
one of the main reasons why I'm into horror, you know. It's very hard to make this list, but like I sat and I thought about this, and actually my wife, you know, we've been together 20 years. She knows me fucking better than anybody in this world.
Right.
You know, she was like, you know, because I was telling her, I'm sitting here, I'm like, babe, I'm down to Lost Boys and Halloween 2.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, Halloween 2 is your number one. Yeah. She's like...
That's wild. I would have never
she's like,
thought that you'd have pulled that out for a number one.
well, you know, man, I literally can just...
I get it. I totally get it.
I can sit down and put those movies in back to back, and I got a fucking 4 hours to just get a fuck away from everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that's a lot to me, you know? And music, it has everything. I'm huge into music. You're huge into music. Mm-hmm. I feel music, man. As soon as I hear that fucking intro, it's like, you know, you're just like, boom, man.
Yeah.
It shoots you straight back, and
you're instantly there. Hell yeah.
You know, and it's funny that, you know, my wife had to had to tell me that. She's like, yeah, this Lost Boys number 2 and Halloween's number fucking...
Nothing wrong with your wife telling you that.
Look, no, she knows me better than anybody, man. But, yeah, it's such a great film. I'm sure all of you listening out there have seen this.
Yeah.
And if not, if you're just now getting into horror and you listen to this podcast for other things like paranormal and stuff like that, do yourself a favor and go watch Halloween, the first one, and Halloween 2, back to back. I'm telling you...
wow. Mind blown.
Enough is enough.
Wow.
Well,
so
man,
there it is, guys.
That's it, brothers.
That's our top 10 for 1980.
Brothers and sisters.
Like we said, we're not dissing any movies. I mean, you know, we put these in an order that we thought, you know, if I was going to watch these movies, I'd watch them in this order, you know. And that's how they hit me. You know, and what's cool about horror is I may look at this list tomorrow, and it might be in a different order.
I literally changed one on the show.
It's still going to be the same movies, though.
What's cool?
I love these movies, and we're not downplaying it because there are so many great movies from the 80s. We didn't even mention movies like The Fly,
Pet Sematary,
Evil Dead.
Fuck, that was on my list at first.
Evil Dead 2, you know, like Ryan said, Pet Sematary. This is Witchboard. I loved that film when I was a kid. It didn't hold up very well.
All the different parts of all the different parts of Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, fucking.
Dude, and I'm going to tell you right now, one movie that I am totally blown away that neither one of us even put on our list, fucking Pumpkinhead. Great film. But it just didn't fall into my list, you know?
It was on my top 20, and it just went away. It's because it's so hard.
I know that Ryan was thinking Hellraiser was going to make it on my list.
I did.
Hellraiser's a great film. Well, Hellraiser's a film. Actually, Hellraiser is a good movie. It is a good movie, but Hellraiser is not up there with the greats.
I don't think so either.
It's not. It's got some very cool scenes and some iconic quotes, but it falls short a little bit. Not knocking it at all. I still watch it occasionally. Still holds up pretty well, but didn't make my list.
Yeah, there's a lot of movies like that, man. A lot of them, you know.
And there's a lot of B-grade stuff that I didn't talk about, you know, like Funeral Home and Mortuary, Mausoleum, you know, all
yeah,
those
but these
movies
are
I love too.
These were our tops.
But these were the big ones
for us.
For us.
You know, and you know, so what we want you guys to do is, if you want to, put a comment down below or send us a message. What's your top?
Try and come up with your
What's
top
your top 10? And we'll try. If you can send us your top 10, we'll read them off.
Do me a favor. Come up with your top 5.
Yeah.
It's hard.
The top 5's harder than the bottom 10.
Yeah.
If you really think about it. So, yeah, if you guys do that, send it in. We may fucking read them out online.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Yes, sir.
But yeah.
Guys, I think
top 10 of the 80s.
That's going to be the end of this one. Yeah, man, that was hard.
It was tough, dude.
So hard.
But so fun. It was cool not knowing what your list was going to be.
You know what's funny is that we both were going into this like, oh, we know we're going to probably have the same fucking list.
Yeah.
And we only had one fucking
We only
movie.
have one movie on both lists, and that was Poltergeist.
Yes.
Great film.
Great film, but it's just crazy because we both thought that we were going to fucking have the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how the fucking.
I really
cookie
did,
comes.
but when I started going through and looking at it, I was like, no, this has got to be in there. This has got to be in there. That's definitely got to be in there, you know.
Yeah, it's funny, man, because you go thinking, and I'm not going to lie to you, before I started thinking about things, there was Lost Boys was going to, Silver Bullet was going to be up in my top 5. And look where it ended.
Yeah. I tell you what was weird for me going through this list is most of my movies, well here, I'm going to tell you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of the movies I was on my list were between 1980 and 1982. I had 5 movies on my list from 1982. What does that tell you?
There you go.
1982 was a very influential year for me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, man. So, guys, that was our list. Check them out. Go check those movies out if you have not watched them. Let us know how you feel about them.
They're readily available.
Leave us a comment below if you want to tell us how you feel about those movies, or send us a message on Facebook, however you want to do it. And, if you guys want to come on the show, let us know. We'll try and get you on here. It's very easy to do. So, that's it, guys. That's our top freaking 10. It's been a long 5 or 6 weeks. So, we got to plan some new episodes, some different stuff. From some movies. We're going to do some different things. But anyways, guys, we love you. Thank you for your support as always, Horror Fam. You guys are awesome. But more importantly, as always, until next time, keep it creepy.